The village fears irreparable harm if it loses power on the non-compete clause. The village's country rocker disputes legality of golf cart DUI arrest. A villager was jailed without bond after skipping probation appointments. A third restaurant in less than a year shutters in Spanish Springs. Villager and golf cart airlifted after hit by an undocumented immigrant. A villager was tasered after attacking the manager and bartender at a bar in the Villages. A villager was arrested after leading police on a chase in a golf cart. A violinist begging for money arrested at Walmart in the Villages. A DUI suspect arrested after found sleeping in his car on US 301. A villager with Little White Cross offers potential resolution in legal standoff. Home health nurse allegedly stole $22,000 in jewelry from a villager. No holes in one's golf this week. Letters to the editor, and another bad parking in the Villages video. This and more coming up. This week's news is brought to you by my Patreon and YouTube members. Thanks, guys. You're the best. And we got some updates here. Not too many this week. Let's get them out of the way. A villager will lose her driver's license as a result of a drunk driving arrest in a golf cart. Virginia Jane Shivert, 77, of the village of Mallory Square, pleaded no contest this past week in Sumter County Court to a charge of driving under the influence. She'll lose her license for 6 months, has been placed on probation for 1 year, and was ordered to perform 50 hours of community service. That's her update. A villager with a Little White Cross is offering a potential resolution and a legal standoff with the government in Florida's friendliest hometown. Wayne and Bonnie Anderson have been fighting for more than 4 years to keep the Little White Cross at their home in the village of Tamarind Grove. The villagers ordered the removal of the Little White Cross after community standards received an anonymous complaint. The villagers has adamantly insisted the Little White Cross is a yard ornament which is prohibited by deed restrictions. The Andersons refused to remove the Little White Cross and have been sued by the Community Development District 8 Board of Supervisors. Wayne Anderson said that the top official with the village government in a recent deposition said the planter would be acceptable in a homeowner's yard. It is unclear whether the village's government views the planter as a solution. The ultimate test would be the lodging of a complaint with community standards, which would then be called upon to launch a new investigation at the Andersons' home. Do you think this is going to be a good end to this solution? I don't. I've always said put the cross in a planter, put it up under the eave, by the front door or something. Nothing will be said. But whoa, no, let's not do that. That's like two bulls out in the field butting heads. That's what we got here. You should join the Ed McGinty Club. A villager will lose her driver's license as a result of a drunk driving arrest in the village of Pennycamp. Alice Lee Seibert, 52, of the village of Hemingway, pleaded no contest this past week to Sumter County Court to a charge of driving under the influence. She will lose her license for 6 months, has been placed on probation for 1 year, and has been ordered to perform 80 hours of community service. Sounds like a repeating record, don't it? And I think this is the last update I have so far. A performer who bills himself as the village's country rocker is disputing the legality of his recent golf cart drunk driving arrest. Stephen Bruce Carter, 59, who lives in the Bailey Ridge Villas, was arrested February 28th after leading city fire at Lake Sumter Landing. Carter's attorney, Mark Conan, has filed a motion seeking to suppress evidence and statements collected in connection with that arrest. In the original arrest report, the Sumter County Sheriff's deputy indicated that the singer had been pulled over after he failed to come to a complete stop at a stop sign. The deputy believed Carter was impaired due to the obvious odor of alcoholic beverage emitting from his breath. Based on the observation, the deputy asked Carter to take part in field sobriety exercises. Carter participated in the exercises, but his poor performance led the deputy to conclude he had been driving under the influence. Carter provided breath samples that registered .160 and .166 blood alcohol content. However, Carter's attorney argues that the evidence should not be admissible because the deputy did not have probable cause. A hearing on the motion has been set for August 29th. Carter remains free on a $500 bond. I'm sorry. These lawyers sometimes are just way out in left field somewhere. He run a stop sign. That's probable cause. Good Lord. Let's have some more news. This should be in the updates, but I failed to put it in there. This has to do with the village's lawsuit against the Federal Trade Commission. The village's top sales official said she fears significant and irreparable harm if the sales representatives selling dream homes are no longer bound by non-compete agreements. Jennifer Parr, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the villages and President of the Properties of the Villages, has offered a 14-page declaration in support of a lawsuit against the Federal Trade Commission. The villages is suing the Federal Trade Commission in a bid to protect its 24-month non-compete ban on former properties of the village's sales associates from selling real estate in the villages. Earlier this year, the Federal Trade Commission issued a final rule to promote competition by banning non-compete agreements across the nation. Parr's declaration makes clear how vital the non-compete agreements are to the village's sales strategy. In contrast to some developers, my family has adopted a long-term model for the villages wherein we maintain a presence in the community. We view ourselves as placemakers dedicated to creating the best possible experience for our residents, each of whom we view as a customer for life. It is our one and only community, and it is our home, Parr said in a declaration. She said relationships have been key to the success of the villages. At one point in time, I agree with what she says. Today, I do not. We base this approach on a distinctive hospitality mindset of our parents, Gary and Sharon Morris, whose values continue to drive every aspect of our family's business today. By embracing this approach, and through decades of hard work and dedication, the Villages has grown from a small mobile home park with access to free golf to a bustling community of over 145,000 residents. Parr described the extensive 3-month training program for new sales associates, which allows them to gain access to confidential business information, including current and future listings and prospective client contact information. Sales associates have targeted connections rather than simply knocking on doors, according to Parr's declaration. She said once training is completed, sales associates typically are eligible to work shifts at one of the village's sales centers, to answer customer phone inquiries, or to work at showcases for newly built houses. Sales associates also enjoy access to the property of the village's group benefits plan, as well as eligibility to enroll children at the village's charter school. But it all comes at a price. price. Sales associates must sign a non-compete agreement that bars them from selling homes in the villages for 24 months if they leave property of the villages. Her declaration includes a current map of the villages, which is considered the restricted area. And I'll try to put a copy of that map back here for you to see. I know I'm kind of in the way, so I'll try to make myself small and put me over in the corner so you can see most of it, because it's a very large and extensive area. I mean, look at the size of that. Parr, who went to federal court in 2021 in a battle with former sales associates who defied their non-compete agreements, said the new Federal Trade Commission non-compete rule would inflict significant and irreparable harm on the villages. If the non-compete rule goes into effect, I understand that the non-compete clauses of property of the villages' existing agreements with sales associates would be prohibited. Specifically, I understand that the non-compete rule generally prohibits non-compete agreements, absent narrow exceptions that property of the villages sales associates would not qualify for, including a senior executive's exemptions that would not apply because sales associates are not in policy-making positions. As a result, property of villages will no longer be able to enforce the non-compete clauses in its contracts with current sales associates. Additionally, I understand property of villages will need to notify current and former sales associates that the non-compete clauses in their contracts cannot be enforced, and property villages will be prevented from entering into non-compete agreements with new sales associates, Parr said in her declaration. I don't agree with it myself. I owned a business, and unless you understand the information that businesses have when they hire somebody to come in and they give them access to this information, it basically gives them phone numbers, company names, business names, all the intricate information that one would need to start a business of their own and steal your people or steal your companies or steal your sponsors when you spent 10, 20 years building up those accounts, and they can steal them overnight because now they got the phone numbers and stuff that they've collected over the years. I don't agree with it. I'm on the village's side on this one. A villager has been jailed without bond after failing to show up for appointments with the probation department. Richard Worth, 70, of the village of Rio Grande, could win his freedom when he appears August 19th in Sumter County Court for a violation of probation of hearing. He has been held since July 19 at the Sumter County Detention Center. He had been sentenced to 6 months probation in January after pleading no contest to assault charges. Court records indicate that in addition to not showing up for probation appointments in April and May, Worth failed to pay $476 in fines and court costs. The California native was originally arrested in September after he threatened to kill another man during an altercation. Worth allegedly balled up his fist when he made the threat. The woman witnessed the incident and provided an account to law enforcement. How do you miss appointments to your probation officer? Stop and think about that. You don't miss those. That's just defiance. A third restaurant has shuttered in less than a year at Spanish Springs Town Square. You know, I mentioned a long time ago that I said Spanish Springs has problems. I don't know what they are. I'm not on the inside looking out. I'm on the outside looking in, but I can tell you Spanish Springs has been having problems for quite a while. Gators Dockside, which has been an anchor more than a decade at Spanish Springs Town Square, announced on Monday that it has closed. Gators Dockside will continue to operate its sister restaurant at Brownwood. Gators Dockside at the Village's original town square appeared to have a strong following, particularly with large groups gathering to watch sporting events. It also had a popular indoor bar, a welcome air-conditioned refuge during summer months. It also offered an outdoor patio. I've been there many times back in the day when it was basically new. Spanish Springs was the only square. Across the street was a movie theater, gone. On the other side of the road of the theater was the Church of the Square, gone. On the other side of that was Katie Bell's, gone. And now Gators, gone. And this is not the only one. Margarita Republic, gone. There's a lot of restaurants over the past few years that was in Spanish Springs, and they're all gone. 2J's, gone. And there's some more. You'll have to look them up. And Sue was telling me the other day that there's rumors about Americanas, so it might be gone too. So I don't know what's going on up there, don't know what's causing all this, but I do know that generally speaking, whenever a business closes their doors and moves, it's because they're not making any money. That's just business. So if you're not going to these restaurants and you're not spending money in these restaurants, they're not making any money, they're going to be gone. However, it's been tough going at Spanish Springs Town Square. Last year, the longtime rowdy night spot, Margarita Republic, announced its closure, and the village's brass admitted it had been caught off guard. In June, World of Beer suddenly shut down its restaurant in Spanish Springs. Like Gators Dockside, World of Beer continues to operate in Brownwood. Last week, Red Lobster shut down at Buffalo Ridge Plaza. Red Lobster, which has filed bankruptcy, has seen its once lucrative business erode in recent years. Yeah, it has, and that's a shame because I always enjoyed it. Sonny's Real Pit Barbecue shut down in May at Lake Sumter Landing. A villager in a golf cart was airlifted from the scene of a crash after he was hit by a truck driven by an undocumented immigrant. The release of an arrest report is shedding light on the crash, which occurred this past week on Corbin Trail at the village of Well Point, located south of the village of Monarch Grove. The villager had been traveling in his golf cart at about 1:30 p.m. July 23rd in a golf cart lane on Corbin Trail when the golf cart was hit by a 2016 Toyota Tacoma driven by 22-year-old Lorena Salinas Zamora of Leesburg, according to a arrest report from the Wildwood Police Department. The truck was crossing Corbin Trail from Ruza Run to Sophie Street. The golf cart had the right-of-way in the area, which has been under construction, the report noted. When first responders arrived at the scene, the man driving the golf cart was unconscious and had suffered a large laceration across the right thigh. He was helicoptered to Ocala Regional Medical Center. Salinas Zamora presented a Mexican identification card and did not have a corresponding passport from her home country. She does not have a driver's license obtained in the United States, although she has lived and worked here for 1 year. A witness positively identified her as the driver of the truck which hit the golf cart. Salinas Zamora went to Wildwood Police Department on Thursday for a follow-up interview. She was arrested on a charge of driving without a license. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting, catch this, $150 bond. I'm almost speechless anymore about this. Here's another upstanding so-called villager. A villager was tasered after allegedly attacking a manager and a bartender at a bar in the Villages. Kevin Patrick Shaughnessy, 52, who lives at 294 Arbella Loop, had become unruly at about 3:30 p.m. Saturday at the City Fire location at Lake Sumter Landing, according to the arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. The manager asked a Massachusetts native to leave the restaurant, but instead Shaughnessy, who stands 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighs 195 pounds, charged at her while yelling obscenities. He chased her from the inside bar area to the outside bar area. What the hell's the matter with you? The outside bartender attempted to intervene, but Shaughnessy body-checked him several times and shoved him. You know, there's a bunch of military vets that meet up there, I think, 1 day a week. It's a good thing for you that they weren't there. I don't care how old they are, there's a bunch of them that shows up. They'd have took you to the ground. When deputy arrived on the scene, Shaughnessy attempted to claim he did not have an identification with him. He refused to identify himself. When a deputy tried to place him in handcuffs, Shaughnessy tensed up and tried to spin away from the deputy. The deputy threatened to taser Shaughnessy, who became verbally combative and belligerent. Shaughnessy attempted to strike the deputy's arm as he tried to knock the taser from his hand. The deputy deployed the taser, striking Shaughnessy, who was handcuffed and placed in the back of the patrol car. I say good. Shaughnessy was arrested on charges of battery, simple assault, and resisting arrest. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $3,750 bond. Here's another outstanding villager. A boyfriend who has been arrested after allegedly puncturing the tires of the car owned by his estranged girlfriend in the village of Finney. The woman contacted law enforcement on Thursday to report that the tires of her black 2023 Chevrolet Equinox had been punctured while the vehicle had been parked at her home in the village of Finney, according to the arrest report. When an officer inspected the damage, he found the tires were completely flat and had punctured marks made by a sharp-edged object. The owner showed police text from her boyfriend, 27-year-old Colin William Creasy, who lives at 5318 Dyer Court in the village of Marsh Bend. The text appeared to inform inform her he had damaged the car. The woman said she has been in a relationship with Creasy, but it had recently been tumultuous. Officers went to Creasy's home and found his silver Toyota Camry with Georgia license plates in the driveway. The Atlanta native exited the home and appeared to be intoxicated. "I didn't do anything," he immediately told police. Creasy initially told the police he had been in the area to put in an employment application at the Finney Grill. When police checked with the restaurant, they were told there was no application from Creasy at the restaurant. I actually think most of that's done online. He was arrested on a charge of criminal mischief. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $2,500 bond. Once again, I just don't know what to say. 20-some-year-old people living in a retirement community. I'm lost. Now, this happens every year, just so you guys know. We have the Romanians that come here every year, about this time of year for a while, and they're con people. They're con artists. Every year that I've been here, there's always articles about them. Romanians, they call them gypsies. So the gypsies come here every time this year. They go around, they do all kinds of shoddy work for money, or they get the money and do no work at all, and they beg and borrow, steal. I mean, that's what they do every year. So I'm reporting this just to let new people know. Florina Zatiana Bachalusu, put the name in picture. 32 of Kissimmee was playing a violin on Monday afternoon in the parking lot at Walmart at Buffalo Ridge Plaza. The violin was connected to a loudspeaker. Florine, I can't pronounce the name. We're going to call her Flo. Flo, 32 of Kissimmee, was playing a violin on Monday afternoon in the parking lot of the Walmart at Buffalo Ridge Plaza. The violin was connected to a loudspeaker, and Flo had a sign that said, "Please, I need help with food and rent. I have 4 kids. Cash App or Venmo." The native of Romania had been asked several times to leave the Walmart property. When a Sumter County Sheriff's deputy arrived, Flo appeared to begin packing up her belongings. However, she abruptly began walking further into the parking lot, and it became clear she was not going to cooperate and was not going to leave. She was on her phone and ignored multiple orders to leave the Walmart property. Flo claimed she ordered food from the nearby McDonald's and was going to stay in the parking lot until her food was ready. A deputy ordered Flo to get in her car and go to McDonald's to pick up her food. She continued to ignore orders to leave. Where do people get this idea you can just ignore a direct order from a police officer? Where did this start? She was arrested on a charge of trespassing and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. She was released after posting a $500 bond. In 2023, she was arrested in Brevard County on charges of theft, as she apparently had been picking pockets. Just say no. Be aware. A villager was arrested after leading police on a chase in a golf cart. David Morley Pope, 55, of the village of Silver Lake, was driving a gold golf cart in the wee hours Tuesday on County Road 25, that's a no-no, when an officer involved in an unrelated traffic incident noticed the golf cart was traveling on a prohibited roadway, according to the Rush Report from Lady Lake Police Department. The officer got into a squad car and began to pursue the golf cart, which made an abrupt turn onto Purple Martin Lane at the Blue Parrot RV Resort. Purple Martin Lane, one-way road, and the golf cart was traveling in the wrong direction. The golf cart finally came to a halt, and Pope presented the officer with a suspended Michigan driver's license. During the pursuit, it appeared Pope had tried to discard something. A white glass smoking pipe was found near the golf cart. A female passenger told the police the pipe belonged to Pope, and he had tried to get rid of it. The pipe tested positive for the presence of methamphetamine. I'm shocked because he just doesn't look to type. A check revealed that Pope's Michigan license had been suspended due to numerous DUI and controlled substance violations. The officer confirmed the golf cart was not registered to travel on a roadway where the speed limit is 55 miles an hour, and he had his golf cart out there. Pope was arrested on charges of driving while license suspended, no motor vehicle registration, possession of drug paraphernalia, tampering with evidence. He was booked at Lake County Jail on a $4,500 bond. The golf cart was towed from the scene by Cling Towing. A woman was transported from the scene of a rollover crash in the Villages. A 60-year-old woman who had been at the wheel of a white 2008 Toyota four-door sedan when the crash occurred at 5:25 p.m. Tuesday on Buena Vista Boulevard near Belvedere Boulevard, according to the Florida Highway Patrol. The woman suffered non-life-threatening injuries and was transported by the village's public safety department to Ocala Regional Medical Center. The Sumter County Sheriff's Office also responded to the scene but turned the investigation over to the Florida Highway Patrol. A home health nurse allegedly stole $22,000 in jewelry from a villager in her care. Tiffany Megan Mason, 34, of Umatilla, was arrested this week on a felony charge of theft. She had been caring for a woman in the village of Mallory Square who had fallen and broken her arm, according to the arrest report. The woman, who was recovering from surgery, was receiving round-the-clock care through Amanda Senior Care. The villager noticed that some jewelry was missing. A second home health aide was doing some sweeping and found the missing jewelry in a pouch under the couch. The villager said the jewelry had never been placed in the pouch, so she knew something was amiss. Mason had been working in the villager's home since early June. She soon became a prime suspect in the theft of a jewelry, which included an engagement ring with a large diamond valued at $7,000, a male Masonic ring valued at $7,000, a female gold opal ring valued at $6,000, and other gold rings. Mason was called in for questioning Monday by the Sumter County Sheriff's Office Public Safety Building in Pinellas Plaza. She initially denied taking the jewelry, but eventually changed her story. So she was going through hard financial times, so she acted on an impulse and took the rings. She said she pawned some of the rings to pay her bills. But then she eventually felt remorse and got the rings out of the pawn. About a week later, she put the rings in a pouch and placed them under the couch in a spare bedroom in the village's homes, where the pouch was eventually discovered by Mason's co-worker. Mason had been earning about $900 a week and has $20,000 in debt, according to a form she filed in Sumter County Court. After a first appearance in court, Mason was released on $2,000 bond. She has been barred from contacting the villager she is allegedly ripped off. A driver with a long history of traffic offenses was arrested in the village as Lonnie Andis Cantrell, 67, of Lady Lake, was driving a silver Toyota pickup when he was pulled over Saturday at County Road 466 in Tall Trees Lane, according to the arrest report. During a traffic stop, a deputy found that Cantrell, who was driving on a suspended license, had been sentenced July 15 in Lake County to a 3-year probation as a result of a rear-end collision earlier this year in Lady Lake. Cantrell has had numerous drinking-related arrests, including a December 2022 arrest in Wildwood on his birthday. He has had 3 drunk driving arrests in Michigan and 1 in Honolulu. He was taken into custody and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. His arrest is considered a violation of his probation, and he will be extradited back to Lady Lake. A villager has been arrested after a strange incident at Hobby Lobby. George William Drake Jr., 76, of the village of Charlotte, went to the Buffalo Ridge store on Monday and said he wanted to speak to a specific employee, according to the arrest report. An employee of Hobby Lobby told Drake that no one by that name had ever worked at that particular Hobby Lobby store. Drake got aggravated and began arguing with him. Drake struck the man in the shoulder and forearm and left the store. The incident was captured on store video surveillance system. Deputy went to Drake's home at 875 Ennis Grove Way and took him into custody on a charge of battery. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. Again, what's the matter with you people? If they tell you that nobody worked there by that name, why are you hitting them? Why are you cussing them? I don't get it. You crazy villagers. Here's some more problem with, I'll say, maybe not illegals, but people from foreign countries. They live a different way, and I've always said, and I'll say it again, I'm not being disrespectful, that's just a fact. What makes you think if they leave one country and then come here, that somehow when they get here, they're going to change? They ain't going to change. If they was a drunk there, they're going to be a drunk here. If they was a drug dealer there, they're going to be a drug dealer here. It's just the way it's going to be. A drunk driving suspect was arrested after he was found sleeping in his car on US 301. A silver Nissan Versa was spotted at about 1 a.m. Sunday along US 301 at Northeast 37th Place in Wildwood. The vehicle's passenger side tire was buried in the sand about a foot deep, according to the arrest report. The driver, identified as 46-year-old Luis Manuel Rios of Summerfield, was sleeping with the car door open and the radio playing loudly. We have a noise ordinance here, just so you guys know. It doesn't make a difference what you're driving or what you're riding. If you drive through a neighborhood and an officer can hear your radio for so many feet away, 100 feet away or something like that, you're subject for a ticket. A 12-ounce Yuengling beer can was spotted on the ground next to the driver's side tire. When Rios woke up, he tried to drive away. The keys to the vehicle were seized by the law enforcement officer. Rios only spoke Spanish and had urinated on himself. Oh, he's such a good look. He agreed to participate in field sobriety exercises but performed poorly. He provided breath samples that registered .199 and .194 blood alcohol content. He was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence. He was booked at the Suffolk County Detention Center and released after posting a $500 bond. What happened to his car? Proof of insurance? You have all that? Gotta wonder, right? How about a couple letters to the editor? Here's one. To the editor. We love living here in such a beautiful community. The community is well maintained with beautiful golf courses. I feel like Hooters is a trashy restaurant. And really, who will go there? Golfers? Grandparents take their children and grandchildren? ? In my opinion, it will not be a good fit and will end up closing down. That's sent in by Maddie Quarter from the village of Newell. Well, Maddie, you got to remember, some of us, our children and our grandchildren are mostly grown up and have children of their own. So if I was to take my grandchildren there, they're well past the age of 21. To the editor, here's a response to Maddie's letter. A lady named Maddie wrote a letter to the editor and said Hooters, which is coming to the villages, is trashy. Hooters has given millions to support cancer facilities. I wonder what Maddie thinks of City Fire, a meat market where people go at night to hook up with the opposite sex. How many golf carts arrests have been made at night from people that have been to City Fire, with one lady being killed in an accident? Maddie should look more closely at things. That's sent in from Sam Martino from the village of Woodbury. Sam, I think you're right. Listen, I've been to Hooters. And I've taken Sue. We went in and had lunch. I didn't see a big deal going on at all. I would lay you 10-1 odds. Maddie's never been to one. She's listened to too many other people. So Maddie, if I was you, go over to Hooters, have a glass of wine, maybe some chicken wings. I got a menu there, but everybody gets chicken wings. Just relax and just take a good look for yourself. Now, I'll tell you what you're going to see. You're going to see some pretty young girls wearing clothes that are too tight. But other than that, that's really all you're going to see. I mean, I see more drunks and more disgusting things happening, as Sam says, here in the villages at our own local restaurants that's been here for years. You know, that's what they used to call City Fire. That's the nickname of City Fire, the meat market. Ladies, don't go anywhere. Coming up is your favorite, my favorite, bad parking in the villages. I had enough of them to add on here, so we're going to get this out of the way. And while you watch this, you look and tell me, where do you see the bad parking? You know what's wrong? Can you see what's wrong? We'll see. With that being said, I want to get out of here. If you would, please become a Patreon member. You can join for as little as $2 a month. I'll send you our Discord link to our private members only Discord, where you can talk to other members that we have on Patreon that's on that Discord. That's all that's there, is just the members only. You can ask them questions about the villages if you've got questions, or just make contact and make some more new friends. You'll get the information about our next Patreon lunch, which is coming up very soon. So with that being said, I'm just simply going to say, beware, stay safe, be aware, stay healthy, see you on the other side.
And don't leave that key in the golf cart.